couple minutes, guys. I'll flip your mics on. If that clock's right. Is that clock right? Is that clock right? Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Yep, it's 5:30 now. All right. Yep. Okay. Let's see if they are ready. We're going to go ahead and get started. The mayor's not here today, so I'll try to fill his shoes to some degree there. First item on the agenda today is an invocation. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you today as humble as we know how, thanking you for all the blessings that you've already given us. We thank you for waking us up this morning and bringing us thus far in your day. Heavenly Father, go with us as we carry on this meeting. We pray that the things that we do and say will be pleasing in thy sight. We ask these things and all things. In Jesus' name I do pray. Amen. Okay. So the next item is adoption of the business agenda. The council have received the agenda. Are there any conflicts? If there are none, do we have a motion to adopt the business agenda as presented?
Mayor Pro Tem Furby, I make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I had a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Agenda adopted. Next item is a public comment and story. Do we have none for unscheduled or scheduled? Okay. Number 4, approval of the city council meeting minutes. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes for April the 11th special, April 13th special, April 18th special, and April 18th regular meeting. And they can be approved all in one motion.
Mayor Pro Tem Furby, I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 11th, 2023, 10 a.m. budget work session, April 11th, 2023, 2 p.m. budget work session, April 13th, 2023, 10 a.m. budget work session, April 13th, 2023, 2 p.m. budget work session, April 18th, 2023 budget work session, and April 18th, 2023 regular city council regular city council meeting minutes as drafted.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. We're going down to our new business. And the first item is a consideration of asphalt overlay contractor bid award. So I call on Ms. Krista Rourke to present.
Good evening, Council. Earlier in the fiscal year, Council had voted to allot $500,000 of the ARPA funding to the repair of city streets. We put an invitation to bid in the local newspaper and on our city website. The first bid opening was scheduled for March 29th, but unfortunately, we only received 2 bids at that opening. And according to general statute and uniform guidance, we must receive 3 bids on the first round of advertisement. So we put the advertisement back out in the paper and on the city website, and the 2 vendors that showed up for the first round showed up for the second round, so we were able to go ahead and go forward. In your council packet, you have a copy of the bid tabulation for your review. Reitmeyer Machine Rentals submitted a total bid of $898,227, or $129 per ton. Adams Construction out of Virginia submitted a total bid of $941,246, or $138.50 per ton. Obviously, these bids are higher than the allotted amount that we had set aside for this project. Director Chalker will be reviewing the city streets that are in need of repair, and they will come up with a plan for which, we incorporated about 23 streets in the bid, so that's just going to have to be trimmed down, and that will be up to him and his staff to start determining which ones that they're going to start first. So tonight, we're asking council for a motion to award a contract to the lowest responsible bidder and direct the city manager to execute a contract with Reitmeyer Machine Rentals for the fiscal year 22-23 asphalt paving project.
Okay, any questions from the council on that?
I might have a question for the finance director.
Okay.
How much money is in the power bill that came? Did we get any money out of that for roads and stuff?
We got, I don't have that with me,
It was about 400 and some thousand.
421,000, something like that.
Do we still have all that funds put aside?
Well, that.
That's part of the current year budget.
Yes, part of the current year budget. I wouldn't say like set aside, I would say it's in our operating funds.
The current PAL bill funds are allocated across the Public Works Department for street maintenance and repairs and that type of work that's authorized for PAL bill funds. So in the current fiscal year, we've already budgeted and expended monies as part of that budget using the revenue source.
Okay, then the motion should be for 500,000 then instead of 800 and some thousand.
Well, that is our budget. The $500,000 is the budget of the list of streets that was given. The contractors came back and said it's going to cost, this much to do all of those, so we're going to have to trim that down and to get to $500,000 and trimming down by going in order of priority need.
Well, that's the reason I asked the questions, how much was left in the power bill, so that money could be, if it didn't already spent in the budget, that could be added to the 500,000.
I couldn't tell you at this time if we even have how it, but we'll find out some more information, but we could bring it back at the next meeting, but.
And bring it back to council next time?
But if you wanted to go ahead and do action tonight based on the $500,000, that will allow the contractor to go ahead and get started. And if we have any additional funds we can add to it, then we can do that at the next meeting.
Okay, so again, the motion would be to add the 500 grand. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's the total budget.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. Does the contractor realize that he is going to get 500,000?
He does not know that the amount is 500,000, but the bid proposal does state that the city has the authority to increase or decrease the scope of work based on the budgeted funds. So we don't tell the vendors when we,
I mean, sometimes that has a bearing on their bidding and all too, because they know how much work they're going to get. Okay.
Yeah, no, they're very aware that their
do.
bid is over what we're going to be able to do.
And this is very typical when the street bids come in. And so I think maybe the appropriate motion would be to award a contract and authorize the city manager to, as far as contracting with Reitmeyer Machine Rentals as the lowest bidder, for up to our budgeted amount of $500,000.
Do we know, and I'm sure we don't at this point, how we're going to decide and I guess Larry would do that, decide which streets to come up with the 5, or is it going to be pretty much the worst ones, or you probably don't have a process at this point?
Well, we do have in the bid package, and I'm not trying to take any words out of
You're fine.
Mr. Work's mouth, but and Krista being our purchasing officer, she's very familiar with the procurement process, so she's been handling that. But the list went out with all of the streets and segments of streets that were needed, and so there are some, and I guess they're listed. So the the ones that need the most improvement will certainly be on that higher priority than some others. So unfortunately, Director Chalker is feeling ill today, so he's unable to be here to answer some of those questions, but we did talk about it earlier today, and so there would be.
I will say, I'm sorry, Kelly. Reitmeyer, when they submitted their bid, they added an addendum to the back of it showing what the cost would be per street instead of just the total combination of all. So we do have the price per street, which should make it easier for Director Chalker to go through and not go over that $500,000 mark.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Hearing there are none, I'm ready for a motion if the board is ready to make a motion.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion. We accept the bid from Right My Machine Rentals for $500,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No? Okay. All right, ayes have it. Thank you. Our next item is an update on the theater auction on govdeal.com. So I will call on the city manager, Trainum, to present.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Farabee and council. Public Works Director Chalker was initially going to present this, and unfortunately was out feeling ill today. So I don't have as much of an update to provide you as he probably would, but I will share with you what I do know right now is that we have been working with GovDeals, their staff, to develop a marketing advertisement for the Roanoke Rapids Theater property. A couple of the employees of GovDeals have visited the site, but they've visited the theater. They've taken pictures, and we have sent them additional photos and files that we have of our records. And right now, you can actually go online to govdeals.com, and even in the search bar, you can type in Roanoke Rapids and hit search, and the listing will show up for the theater. It does say on there that the listing does not start, or the auction does not begin until 9:00 a.m. on May the 25th, and that it will close at the same time on June the 26th. So the actual auction period will last about 30 days. So, but they already have it up there. It has been generating interest. This morning there was, on the site, they had about 3,330 visitors, or have actually seen the specific advertisement, and before I left to come to this meeting, it was close to 3,800. While at the City Vision Conference last week, I had an opportunity to speak with a GovDeals representative who was able to show me on their side of things, from the administrative portal, the level of interest that is being generated, and they seem to be very excited about the prospect of selling the theater. And so far right now, like the city, we don't have any expenditures into this at this time, so which is good, because the process itself using GovDeals would help selling the property would help to pay for their efforts, I guess, if you can say, charged in their fees. So we are moving, we continue to move forward with that. I do want to thank Director Chalker and the Public Works staff who have really done a good job keeping the building maintained. And so that's about it right now from our GovDeals update.
Do you know if it's, if I may, do you know if it's fee plus, or if it's just when we sell it, you get your part at that point, or is it for GovDeal?
GovDeals basically gets their share of it based on the purchase price, and it's based on the additional fees for it. So the level of complexity involved is, but it states on the actual listing what the fees are and so forth.
Okay. Any other questions for the city manager? Okay. I believe there's no action on that. The next item, we call on the city manager, train him to give your report.
Okay. As far as for the proposed upcoming fiscal year budget, and this is an item that we're going to take back up in 2 weeks, because in all good faith, I wanted to have the budget message presented to you today instead of in 2 weeks, but, so we are still on schedule. We are still in compliance as far as preparing the budget. Right now, council has had an opportunity to review or participate in the workshops with the departments to look at what their proposed expenses or estimated budgeted expenses would be. Pretty much every year in every jurisdiction that probably exists, people are going to turn in and ask for more than what can be afforded to give. So right now, we are looking at, just over 18 million in requests, and I know that we won't have enough revenue to cover that. So by the next meeting, we will have more detailed information on that as far as a full balanced budget at this point. So between now and then, we're looking at various things, trying to confirm the final numbers on the revenues. The primary issues that we're experiencing is the cost of everything going up. The costs are rising nationwide, worldwide, for various factors and reasons. Consumer spending is impacted by inflation and things like that. Our employees, organizations are offering, additional salaries and benefits and other things. And so we have a tough budget to really have to look at, and so more details, will be provided. But for right now, our primary focus is to maintain current levels of staffing. Our staffing, paying for salaries and benefits is our greatest expense in our budget. And our greatest revenues are between property taxes, sales and use taxes, and other funds. We have made some adjustments in our fee schedules to attempt to bring in additional revenues as well, incremental changes that we've done pretty much over time we have done incremental increases so that it's not so dramatic on the customers that are paying for the services, but it is, we need to really find a way to increase our revenues for the city and those opportunities as well. So more information will be coming on the budget, but if y'all have any questions, we'd be glad to take any at this time. Or
No major questions, except that I know you said there were 18 million in requests. Any, and it may be too early, but projections on where we will fall, or about a ballpark or anything, or is that too early?
Well, with revenues, with property taxes, our next revaluation is in 2024. That's completed by Halifax County. And I assume they're still on that schedule. And so right now we're still based on the levels from a few years ago. But last year, I think our revenues were close to about 16.5 million. So we do have a gap, but that happens every year. But at this point, I've not yet moved into balancing the budget yet, and the departments have been very helpful. They've been conservative in their requests, but quite frankly, just the cost of the same piece, for example, the same bottle of water, and this is one I bought for myself personally, but everything has gone up. I know everyone has seen that, and so we're doing the best to conserve, and we don't want to have to cut additional services by any means. We'll be able to maintain at least the current levels of service as we move forward.
I hope you're looking at not increasing the budget. I don't think the budget ought to be increased. and I'm hoping you're not looking at a tax increase.
I'm not proposing a tax increase.
Okay, that's two things that I'm hoping that council will look at ourselves, that, we're gonna have to maintain a low budget to, I know it's tough on our department heads, but it's something that we need to think about as city council people.
And there are additional costs that are really outside of our control, and every year the retirement contributions that are mandated by the state go up incrementally. So there are some things that are really outside of our control that we have to continue to pay. But as far as a relative, as far as any increase in all that, our primary goal is to make sure that our employees we're able to continue to offer the same levels of service. But again, where we can make it's hard to say because this, the prior year, we really had to cut out a lot of preventative maintenance expenses, and so we'll see how it goes. But I understand. I understand the direction of not raising taxes.
I understand what you got to go through as the city manager, but we also got to understand what these people in Roanoke Rapids have to go through. They're having the same cost of living as everyone else is. Not only the city, but they're struggling. And
I agree, and we have employees that are struggling as well. And the last time the city council in a budget approved a cost of living adjustment was for the fiscal year that was July. It was 2017-2018 fiscal year was the last time up, and that was a 4% cost of living adjustment. But since 18-19 and up until this current fiscal year, it's been a mixture of either bonuses actually, let me take that back though. In 2022, there was the $3,000 adjustment. So that did represent more than what a typical cost of living adjustment would be. So again, doing the budget is a very important decision that the council does have to make. It helps to fund our priorities and objectives, and so we're doing the best we can with the limited resources that we have.
Wasn't there some language on retirement from the league in relation to helping or doing something different that can help save cities and towns? I don't remember that full, but I thought there, and it may be something coming up later in relation to retirement and how the city has to put money in, and I forget exactly how that.
What I think they were referring to was the percentage increase that occurs every year. We have to increase our contributions. The employee contribution for the retirement remains at 6%, and every year the city's portion that goes to fund the retirement pool increases. The retirement board does that. So, for example, the upcoming fiscal year, that amount is up to, give me 1 second. So it's going up to 12.91% for regular employees, and it's going up to 14.04% for law enforcement. So the current fiscal year we're in right now, law enforcement contribution, the city's contribution to law enforcement is 13.04, and it's going up by 1 to 14.04. The year before, it was at 13.01. For the upcoming fiscal year for regular employees, the upcoming fiscal year is 12.91. In the current fiscal year, it's 12.1. So in the year before that, it was 12.01. So I think when I started working in local government, the city paid like 7%. So you can see how our expenses have continued to go up in a short amount of time.
Hopefully there will be some relief from that in relation to our legislative group and looking at that. And I think they were going to look at that a little bit. So hopefully they will. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one other question. I remember about 6 months or 7 months ago, Councilwoman asked a question about giving a letter to all of the employees about their benefits, showing how much benefits and everything they had. Did we ever do that?
They will be receiving their benefit information during open enrollment tomorrow. Well, we have open enrollment that starts tomorrow, and we'll have tomorrow and Thursday. And Human Resources Director Cottle, she has revised our typical template and has created something that will show all employees, and in fact, she passed one out during our department head meeting today, that shows kind of what their annual salary is and what the benefits are, so what the city pays, so you can get basically your total compensation package. So
Yes.
every one of those will be distributed this week.
It'll actually show their total income there with the benefits and everything.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Any other questions? I believe you are up next, is that right? Kelly, do you have another report?
I don't have a whole lot to really report right now, other than, as we are moving into this time, we have asked staff to be mindful of their spending as we finish out the current fiscal year, to make sure we remain on budget. Obviously, there's certain things that come up that could be unforeseen, but we will address those. Last week, we attended the League of Municipalities City Vision Conference. Mayor Pro Tem Verby and Councilwoman Bryant attended, and I felt like there were some really good sessions that helped open up, at least for me, for my mindset, into really trying to define our direction and where we're going and where we need to be, especially in the opening session. Conversations about values, and we've had with council informal workshop on that, but we do need to pick back up on that series and really start to define our organization from the top, so that it goes from the top down as far as the organizational values and mission. And so I just today received the presentation from that presenter from the opening session, if you recall. And so I think, and the session was entitled From Conflict to Conversation, and so they were asking people to think about the specific issues that needs to move from conflict to conversation in our community in order to help people learn how to encourage people to work together with their potential. And so the city, as far as the city government and with the council, we will be asking you probably very soon, for some more participation in that type of level of effort that leads to strategic planning, so that when we are working in these budget times, we can move forward with how we want to direct our resources rather than just trying to survive. We do have open enrollment for all city employees, and tomorrow it starts tomorrow, and we'll have it tomorrow and on Thursday. We'll be rolling admission basically. On Friday morning, the fire department is hosting a veterans breakfast at Kirkwood Adams, and that will begin at 8:30 in the morning, and will go until about 10:30. They've done a really good job garnering support and sponsors for this event. Last year, if y'all recall, we had the Veterans Breakfast at the fire department in the truck bay. I think several of you probably attended, and so we had a good turnout, and according to Chief Patrick, they've got almost double the amount of reservations or intentions of attending than they did last year, so I want to thank them for that. There is a special event here that will be held at Centennial Park on this upcoming Saturday with some vendors as well. And on May the 13th, that Saturday at 10 a.m., just a reminder that we'll have the name unveiling ceremony for renaming the Aquatic Center in honor of Chris Wicker, who's retired director from the department.
What was that date again?
May the 13th, Saturday. And Mother's Day is the next day, the 14th.
Okay, does that conclude your report?
Yes, that concludes my report at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have any other business to come before council this afternoon? Here and there are none. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Okay, Miss Bryant. All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you so much.